Hey guys, it's Raina Davis. I'm so super excited to be with you guys and introduce the Super Kingdom Admin Academy. About 2 years ago, we were honored and blessed to be able to go and present this workshop for the very first time. And since then, we have taught it to hundreds of people who have given us tremendous feedback. The course was originally created for people who served in administrative capacities only. It was created for secretaries and administrators and executive administrators. And now we have gotten such tremendous feedback that it's been such a blessing to, volunteers and church staffers in all capacities, full-time, part-time, contractor. So we've now extended the course, and we're trying to teach it in such a way that all of the information can apply to you wherever you are and wherever you're serving. So we're not going to delay. We're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about it. So somebody asked me, what kind of Super Kingdom Admin, Raina, that's really catchy? Well, what is it? Well, we believe that when you get information, it unlocks powers. And the powers that get unlocked are keys to success. So the Super Kingdom Admin book, that we created, from the workshop, talks about 7 components of success. And we're going to talk about those 7 components in the workshops. So right now you're in the online course. It was created to kind of be on demand. And this first week, you'll just be able to access this first video or this first set of videos. And then after that, you can go through the course, by yourself. You don't have to necessarily go through it with us. So, all right. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, you may be asking me, Raina, what is the importance? Why do we need this kind of training? Why do we need this information? Well, one of the reasons that you need the information is because I was actually taught by a senior pastor who taught us that there were 3 types of people. He actually broke it down, kind of more, but we're going to pretty much deal with 3 of them. And that was the crowd, the committed, and the core. Now the crowd that's the Sunday people. Those are the people that come, during special events. They're the people who come, when it's convenient. They are the people who come on Mother's Day. That's the crowd. They're coming, but they don't come all the time, okay? The committed, those are the people who they may be on the membership roll. They may even, help out from time to time, but they're not the core. The core are the people who are there all the time. They are the ones who you can depend on, rain, sun, snow. It doesn't matter. They're going to be there. That is the core. And generally, if you're watching this video, if you actually pay to take an online course about, getting success and serving in the kingdom, then you are the core. Your leaders, your men and women of God can't do what they do without you. You are an important part of the organization. You're on the front line of God's army. So let's talk about that. What does that mean? Now that you've kind of identified your placement, there are some things that you need to know. When I was growing up, there was a group called De La Soul, and they had this song, Me, Myself, and I. And one of the first things that I learned in serving in the kingdom, I served in the kingdom for over 20 years. I grew up in church, but then I served in the kingdom, for over 20 years. My last assignment was to a senior pastor for 5 years as an executive administrator, which is where a lot of this knowledge came from. And I learned a couple of really key things right up front in those first kind of few months of being in that position. And the first thing that I learned very quickly, one of the things I had to realize that I had to learn is I had to know my strengths. I had to figure out the things that I did well. I had to know the things that I knew like I knew my name. And those things, I made sure that those were the areas where I showed up, I showed out, and I made sure that if someone needed help in those areas, I was right there. So for me, my background is English. I had a concentration in mass communications. And so anything that was media, communications, writing, kind of creative elements, some layout design, graphics, I made sure that I helped in that area because that was a strength of mine. And I made sure that I let people know, okay, hey guys, if you need help in this area, I'm your girl, I got you. But the opposite is true. I had to very quickly learn my weaknesses. Because there is nothing that's more detrimental to a team than a bunch of people who think they're strong in an area where they're weak. I had to learn very quickly, okay, you know what? I don't do that the best. I'm going to need some help in that area. And what you do is, if you're smart, you staff your weaknesses. And I don't mean staff where you go out and pay a bunch of people, because we're in ministry. It doesn't work that way. You can't do that. But what I mean is, you get some people around you, you get some support people around you that can help serve in areas where you are lacking, where that's just not your primary gift set. We talk about that a little bit later in your core competencies, but make sure you understand your weaknesses. For me, I can give you guys a really good, example, because I have 4 children biologically. And when my girls were little, I used to go take them swimming at the Y. And, one of the things that happens is everybody thinks that they are an amazing swimmer until you have to take the little test and get the little band so they can know kind of really what your skill level is in swimming. So what we found out is, where they thought they were strong, they were really weak, because they weren't getting the habit and I remember it was so great for them when they took the test the next summer and they actually moved up into band color, because it's important to know the difference. And the reason that the Y needed to know is because they have to watch those black band kids a little bit, more. And the same thing in the kingdom. I always say that the kingdom is one of the few places where we just let people serve, almost anywhere, because we need help. We let people tell us who they are. We let them tell us that they're delivered, and we don't know if they're really delivered or not. And that's one of the things that you have to know. You have to know that if you've ever had an issue, with illegal substances, you may not want to be, on the ministry that helps people who are being rehabilitated from drugs. If you have a tendency to get into some crime, if crime was your thing, you may not serve on the prison ministry, just yet. You may want to make sure that you got some things out of your system. You have to be careful. You have to know what your weaknesses are, because the enemy will use your weaknesses against you, and so will people. So you have to make sure that you know those weaknesses so that you don't get snuffed out, because we know that the enemy is looking to seek who he can devour. So you want to make sure that it's not you. The next thing that you want to know is, you want to know your desires. And I'm not talking about the desires that get you in trouble, because we all have a tendency to know those pretty well. I'm talking about what your perfect world looks like. I'm saying, in a perfect case scenario, you would do A, you would do B, you would do C, because that's what you're passionate about. I had the opportunity to attend Pastor Chris Hill's Roar Summit. It was amazing. And one of the things he said is, if your why does not make you cry, it's not strong enough. Sometimes people are serving in ministry for the wrong reasons. It's like they want to serve in ministry because they just want to get close to the pastor, or they want to be close to the first lady or the co-pastor, or they need an area, or they need something to make them feel good. But if you don't serve for the right reasons, you'll find yourself in a mess, and you don't want that, because there's few things harder to recover from than church hurt. So you have to make sure that you understand your desires and know that your desires are linked to your motives, and that they are good, and they're coming from a good place. They're coming from a healed place. You're not serving, from an area of hurt and baggage and loneliness and rejection. You want to make sure that when you step into the arena in God's house and you're going to be serving his people, that you are healed. You want to make sure that you know without a shadow of a doubt that you aren't struggling in any of those areas. You want to make sure that your desires are clean. You want to make sure that your desires are pure, and you want to make sure that you're serving in an area that you're passionate about. If you are somebody who feels strongly about helping people become financially free, then a business and economic development ministry is a great place for you to serve. But you have to know what your desire is. You have to know it. And it's not something that somebody else can tell you. It's something that you have to know. And if you're not sure, go into your quiet place with the Lord and get with you, and he'll reveal it to you. But one of the keys is that it's often linked to the things that you're strong in. It's often linked to the things that you have a natural aptitude for, and the things that make you happy, the things that bring you joy, the things that help you feel like you're making a difference in the world. Those are your desires, and you have to know what they are. And you have to know what your perfect world looks like, and be aggressive about seeking that, and within the context of where you serve in ministry. Okay? The last thing that you need to know, and this is important, guys, is you have to know your destination. Ultimately, if you don't understand your destination, you're going to be in trouble. It doesn't make any sense for you to set yourself up to go to school to be a dentist if you know you don't like funky breath. If you know you don't like being your hand, you never want to put your hand in someone's mouth. It doesn't make any sense for you to go to school for dentistry, because that's the destination that people who go to dental school, that's where they end up. In the same way, you want to know what your destination is. I was on a path. God had me on a plan, and I didn't understand it the whole way through. I went through a divorce, and I really didn't understand it. But this destination has landed me somewhere to now I have amazing women's ministry sessions with women who are going through divorce, who are single moms, who are women who are serving in ministry, and often, serving, by themselves. They don't necessarily have a spouse or somebody to go home to. Now the Lord has blessed me. He's given me an amazing husband. And that husband also loves serving in ministry. He didn't give me somebody that was not going to be with me in my destination. He gave me somebody where I love to serve in church. I love ministry. I love God's people. I love the men and women of God. And so did he. He blessed me with someone who could continue with me on my path. And we'll talk about relationships a little later, but relationships are very important when it comes to your destination, because if you can't grow together and you can't go together, you will grow apart and you will go your separate ways. And I feel that, I just feel the Spirit. That's for somebody, I don't know, but just know that your destination is important and God wants to help you get there. So just know that you are a part of the core, and that you are going to be diligent about knowing your strengths, your weaknesses, your desires, and your destination. I'll see you in the next video.